welcome back to another episode of Over the Glass. I am your host, Jay.
I am other host, Nessa. Today we have Chanel. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Listen, I was literally just watching Wednesday because I am late to the party. I have one episode left, and I just finished watching like the last 10 minutes of the second to last episode. So I'm like in that mode. I was like, what's gonna happen? Who's behind all of this?
I guess let's just start like we always do. If you could give us a little introduction of who you are and how you got into hockey.
I am Chanel. I was in fact trauma bonded with hockey at a very interesting time in my life. I am the youngest of four. I have three older brothers, and they grew up playing the game, so it's always kind of like in the background of what we're doing, because we live in a climate that supports that type of after-school curricular activity. But I personally got into hockey when I was in middle school. I just saw it on TV one day and I was like, what is this? Like, this is, like, there's a big difference between my brothers playing in their youth teams and, like, professionals. And I was like, oh, this is how it's supposed to be played. Like, it's supposed to be faster and not so many penalties and all these other things. But, yeah, I instantly fell in love with, like, the team aspect of it. Because a lot of the other sports I watched, I felt like you can't play football without a quarterback type thing. So when I found hockey and realized like how much of a team sport and what that means, just in the context of playing it, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And then fast forward a bunch of years, in COVID times and during, the Black Lives Matter movement that happened in the summer of 2020, I really wanted to find a way to be useful for my community and be able to make an impact. And because I was involved in like the hockey fandom side of things, I realized that I was kind of missing a community aspect to it from a disabled fan perspective, because I'm disabled, and just sort of seeing a lack of representation in that realm was really disappointing and sort of eye-opening, because I didn't realize I was missing it till I kind of like looked around and I was like, oh, like this is a little bit weird and I wonder why. So yeah, I spent the summer writing a few essays about that, and I published them, and through like a whirlwind series of events that basically started with Black Girl Hockey Club, and at the time I think just Renee running the account, she retweeted my article and it landed in the hands of my boss. And then, yeah, I got hired by the Kraken. I spent 2 seasons with them. I left in July, and that was a big transitional period for me because I was still in school when I got the job. So it was a wild time. It's been a wild couple of months for me.
So, as you know, or if you don't know, the Kraken is probably my second favorite team to follow because, I don't know, they're just fun. And I wanted to know, because you did work for them for a couple seasons, if there was something that stood out to you that maybe they were doing in particular to kind of shift the hockey culture in the right direction. Like, are they doing certain things that you were actually really, I don't want to say impressed, but it was nice, like a refreshing thing to see?
Yeah, I had a lot of those moments where I felt really happy with the choices that I made that led to me working with them. And like, that's not as big as it sounds. It literally just means that, I took a moment of vulnerability, and through that moment I was able to get a job with them. But for me, it was like being in certain meetings and looking around the Zoom call, because everything was remote when I was starting to work there. So just looking around and seeing faces that looked like mine was really impactful, and it made a difference for me, because I have had little like internships and things with other professional teams, and just seeing the lack of just anybody with any shade of skin like mine was really jarring. But it really didn't like dawn on me that that was something that I was uncomfortable with till I was comfortable in a space because there was diversity and inclusion and that type of thing. So it really was just like, because we have these different minds and different lived experiences in the room in different areas of our organization, it does make a difference, and it is the result of that is all these really cool initiatives that they're doing and that they're still doing today. So yeah.
One of the reasons I decided I wanted to follow them was because when they started hiring on, the people behind the scenes, what do you call them? The front office people, it seemed like they were hiring a more diverse group of people than any other hockey team I've seen, even with the Sharks.
I was curious if you could talk a little bit about the work that you did for them, or maybe some of your the accomplishments that you were very happy to see that they implemented.
Yeah, when I started working for them, we didn't even have our arena. That was like a construction site, and so to be able to contribute to just sort of the layout of certain things that were going on over there, and the accessibility, the physical accessibility of the building was really important to me. And just being able, first of all, being asked to participate in meetings about that was really cool. Just to like talk about certain things that we don't think about as being an issue. Like, for example, something that I bring up all the time is, an arena might be ADA compliant, but sometimes things happen that like you just don't even realize are an issue. Like, this is even an example that I've encountered in hospitals where they'll put like a trash bin under the elevator buttons, just out of like a random sort of convenient place to put a disposable thing at. And that makes it impossible for someone like me to reach those buttons. So it's like, this is a weird, then it ends up being a weird place to put a trash can. And that kind of can happen in the arenas like that because sometimes you don't have a great idea of a place to put those types of things, or, you're just not thinking and you just put them there, or someone moves box somewhere, so just making sure that like we sweep our buildings before events and just make sure that that kind of stuff doesn't, impede the experience of someone with mobility needs of any kind. So having conversations like that were really cool. I think one of the things that I'm most proud of, because I actually know that it happened, there's a lot of things that like happen in meetings where you're like, I may have suggested this, but I have no idea if it's actually going to be implemented or not. But one of the things that I got to help with was our curriculum for in-school activities. So like when players or our organization do a learn to play program at a elementary school or some sort of school in the Washington area, they had like a little playbook to go off of, and I was asked to look over it before it went into like the finalization. And the illustrations of it were really cool. I think you would have liked it, Nessa. They like really cute like characters and things, and they were all diverse and they were so cute. But I said to my partner that I was working with it on, like, it's really cool that we have like wheelchair representation in the graphics, but when it comes to like the actual activities, like we don't have as much representation available. So I suggested some warm up activities that we could do that were just like text additions and weren't anything crazy, but I know that those got put into the final cut, so that was really cool to have that implemented more holistically instead of just like, here's a graphic of a disabled person,
Yeah. I've been to Climate Pledge a couple of times. Once when I was just passing through when I was moving to Vancouver, 2021. What year is it? Yeah, 2021. And I went to a game last spring. And Chrissy, I went with Chrissy, my girlfriend. And at the time, I was kind of going through some weird health things that I'm still kind of currently going through, and I've discovered that I have sensory issues now. And so she was looking up some things about the arena to see if I had an episode or if there was anything around that could help me. And she told me that Climate Pledge actually has a sensory room, and I was like, that's really cool. I didn't look into it or anything, but would you mind like kind of going over what's what that's about.
Yeah, so I've not actually ever been in one myself, so I'm just gonna speak off of like what I know of them. So yeah, we have sensory room and we have sensory kits on hand too. So even if you weren't able to go into that room, you could go to guest services and get like a little bag that has all sorts of trinkets and things in it. I think it's mostly geared to like a younger audience, but they have like a lot of like fidgety type things that I think people of all ages can benefit from if they need it. But yeah, that was one of the cooler things. I know that we have like a nursing, like breastfeeding or feeding room for that as well. So just having those types of spaces available for people was really cool to see, and to have it be built in like at the beginning instead of like a add-on in a utility closet, which is I think sort of what ends up happening in these older buildings that they implement them in. But it really is just a very like quiet place. You know, I think that they have probably a screen where you can, you know, watch the game on TV if that's something that you just want to be out of that like crowd element, but you still wanted to watch. But it is just more like a secluded, smaller area that you could go to help ground yourself, whatever that you need to do to still not completely leave the building if it's just like a couple minute, you know, whatever time you need to feel better. But yeah, it's a really cool thing that I know that we were super excited to be able to implement when we built the building.
Yeah, I really appreciated knowing that these things were available. I also had around the same time went to a game at, was it Rogers Arena where the Canucks play? And one of the more inconvenient things I experienced was like I really needed to use the elevator because I was having a hard time climbing upstairs, and they made me go through like the ticket, like the VIP area. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to access the elevator. So that was really weird because it's like, what about people who aren't members of your VIP, whatever it's called? That was really weird to me. So it's, yeah, I don't know. It's not, accessibility hasn't really been something I've thought about because it's not something that I've needed, right? Up until recently. And now I'm kind of like more aware of like, you know, maybe certain things should be available for people because like now I kind of understand to a like small extent. So that's really interesting. To finish off the Kraken questions, I wanted to ask you if you had a favorite player.
My favorite player is Brandon Tanev. He's chaotic, like me. Every time I've witnessed him in person, it's like terrifying. I'm like, is that like him? No helmet during practice, during warm-up skate. I'm like, is that in the CBA? Like, what are you doing? Like, please stop doing that. It's just, I don't know. There's something about him. I'm like, okay, this is the one, and I will be devastated if he ever gets traded or whatever. But yeah, he's up there. But obviously, I also have a soft spot for Morgan Geeky, but he's been having a weird season. But I think our lineup is just so deep that like we keep rotating him with a couple other players just because we don't know what to do with him. So that's fine. But hey, I gave him a real answer. So.
Okay.
Tana's the one with the crazy eyes, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the ghost picture.
I mean, he seems like he has a really big personality, which, I mean, like me and Nessa have talked about on previous podcasts or amongst guests that we've had in the past. It's just kind of the ones that just stick out of the cookie cutter. I'm just here to get pucks in deep. And for me and Nessa, one of our favorites on the Sharks is Mario Ferraro, and he's just like at the Sharks during warm-ups, he's always the one coming over to like make a face or to hug everyone else, and everyone
He's
else
always
is kind
laughing.
of like, yeah, he's not one of the older guys, you know. He came in like, and right away he was like, I want to express this personality. He has a YouTube channel, which,
Yep.
yeah, nowadays he doesn't do as much because he's trying to focus
I know,
on
it's
playing
sad.
better. But when he instantly, when he came onto the team, I was like, oh, this is going to be a for sure favorite. He just is not afraid to show who he is, which we definitely need more of that. We definitely need more of that.
I was just gonna say there's a degree of separation between me and Mario because we went to school together.
Did you?
At the same time? Yeah. I didn't. I was gonna. I thought you.
I didn't know that at all.
Yeah. We went to school together. We went to college together at the same time.
Did you know of each other's
Cool.
existence?
I for sure. So it's funny because I was in an anthropology class my junior year, and it seemed like all the hockey players took Anthro 101. Like, on God, like I would look over and be like, why do I know? Like, obviously it's just a pod of white dudes, right? So I like look over and I'm like, why do all of you look so familiar? Like, oh, because like Kale McCarr, you know, the other ones, there's a set of twins that were really good playing at the time too, and I was like, oh. So I would just sit in class and I would know who they were, and then we had like a lab section and we're working together and I had to like pretend that I don't know who they are. It was really weird. Because I was like, is it cool to be like, good game last night? Because I watched, like I was paying attention. But I just went the route of like living with regret instead. So I knew of all of them. They did not know of me, so that's a little bit sad. But maybe one day I'll say to Kale, I was behind you when you were walking to the Frank dining hall one day, and I almost said something to you, but instead I just creepily watched you walk there on my way home. Like,
you're like,
you know,
I was a fan
normal
of Kale
things.
McCarr before it was cool.
No, it was cool then too because it was so good. Like, that's the year that we won. I was like, oh, this is just awful. But like, you know, I don't know. I felt really funny just to know that I knew who they were, and they didn't know who I was, which I think is great. I actually prefer it like that. So that's
You
my
only
story.
think they don't know about you.
I know they might know me now, which might be bad, but that's fine.
Maybe they got like a secret burner account that they're following you and they don't want to be too embarrassed and be like, oh.
They're your biggest fans.
I know. I mean, hey, you never know. But yeah, I love Mario Ferraro, so I'm glad that you guys like him too, because he's awesome.
It's good to know that we picked a good one to be a fan of.
He did. He did.
So opinions about All Stars. I know you mentioned you didn't watch it, which you didn't miss a whole lot. I like watching some of the skills, but for the most part, it's all just kind of the same. I mostly was interested in like the splash shot and the tendy tandem, I think is what it was called.
Oh, I didn't even watch
But-
that one.
Like, it was fun, but, so I only watched the highlights of it, but I saw this morning that folks were saying the whole setup for the actual broadcast was incredibly confusing. Like, they were hopping back and forth and they weren't explaining rules properly. And I can see how that would be incredibly, like, confusing on top of you're watching a certain, event and then you've got to wait till like the hour is up or whatever, find out who won.
Is the Tendy Tandem the one where the goalie would shoot across the ice and then the other goalie... Okay, so I did watch like maybe 5 minutes of that one, but the pacing was so slow and I got so bored. I went back to watching Wednesday.
I think the highlight for me of that one was just like Sarah Nurse. And they should have just showed more of the women because...
They should have, but even the broadcasters were making some interesting comments about them. I was like, why was that necessary? I did watch highlights or the replay of the I forget what it's called, but the golfing one that they did, and that one seemed decently
That one
fun.
was cool until it, like, I was hopeful, and then at some point I was like, okay, this is kind of boring. I think when it switched over to they started golfing, and I'm like, oh, I don't actually care about golfing, so this is like not even helping.
They were golfing with pucks, so I was like, interesting. But they were actually
Well, they were
doing well.
golfing initially with pucks, and then once they got closer to the hole, then they started using a golf ball.
But they were still using the hockey sticks.
So they, like, I think they were trying to make it creative, and then it was just like, yeah, this is getting a little old.
Yeah, but I mean, I think the broadcasters made that one pretty silly. So I was like,
Okay.
okay, this is silly. The splashing one also has potential, but I don't know, man. Just the interviews in between that they do aren't like they need better people.
So I saw that you got one of the jerseys though, but they sent you the wrong one, Chanel.
Can I have it?
I think they might have sent me the right one, and I just have no perception of size. But it's going to my niece, and she's gonna love it. So, I don't know. Yeah, it looks big, but like I think it's just because it's white and like it's a little like my black jersey or my black jerseys look a little smaller the way they're supposed to. But it doesn't say youth on it anywhere, and that's the only reason why I was kind of like questioning if it was actually the size it's supposed to be.
Did you try it
It
on?
just says small. No, I didn't try it on. I'm just gonna let my niece have it. This is the best thing about me being someone that like isn't gonna grow more. My niece is gonna grow. So when she grows out of that thing, it's coming back to me. I call dibs on it. So, yeah, I think the only thing I would say about the All-Star thing is like they have to decide if it's going to be a TV event or an in-person event. I think they're like trying to walk the line like too much of like this will still be interesting if people are watching from home, like right? Like this can't be that bad because that's what I was hearing about the expansion draft that like watching it really sucked, but as someone that was there, as it was also discombobulating there as well in person, but for other reasons. But like that was a really hard event, I guess, to watch on TV. So I feel like if maybe they made it like more exclusive and like we'll stream it crappily on YouTube, but you have to really be there in person to like really get the experience or whatever. But they need to have like better incentive for the players to go because otherwise we're ending up with what we're watching now, which is just like people that are super hungover playing the game today. So yeah, I don't know. I wish it was better. Like I wish it was as enjoyable as people say like the NBA All Star game is, and like how guys are like really like almost upset like if they don't get to go, or it's just something that is almost like a bucket list item for them. And that is not the case for the NHL All Star situation at
Yeah,
all.
because
So
we all know
yeah,
that the Kraken didn't have a representative for the All Stars. I saw
know.
someone tweet that I don't know if like well their credibility, but I heard that they reached out to another Kraken player, but he declined. So that's why they invited Stevenson. I was like, well,
I
I
mean,
could see
I
it.
wouldn't be surprised because I was shocked to see that a couple of them are on vacation together. Like, I was like, I'm so sorry. I feel like I'm in the middle. I'm like, if I was on vacation from work, I feel like the last people that I would want to go on vacation with are people that I work with, which is, their teammates, whatever. But sometimes coworkers are also the most fun people to go hang out with in that setting. So it's like, I get it, but I don't get it. But there are a couple of guys that went to Cabo together. I'm like, come on. Like, this is so strange. There's not enough SPF in the world for those
I
guys.
feel like they all
They're
go
so
to like
pasty.
Cabo, or they
Yeah.
would have gone to Florida if like not
Yeah.
everyone and their mother was there this weekend.
Yeah. They're in
Hurdle
Miami
went down
for
to
this.
SoCal
I don't know.
with his
Oh yeah,
kid
he went to Disneyland.
and the San Diego Zoo. It was cute.
That's so cute.
So I don't really follow any other sports in terms of actually watching All Stars for them, but like what's something that's kind of different from like the NBA do you think like the NHL might be missing?
Personality.
Oh my god, yeah. Where to begin with that one? Having like relevant performers that like aren't just performers that are on the commercials that they have licensed music for would be one thing. Because I genuinely think that's why there's a lot of Fall Out Boy and NHL things because they have licensed their music for their commercials and events and things. Yeah, I think it's more like a celebration and not like a punishment. It kind of feels like it's like a punishment to go for them right now.
Well, they make it seem like it because they're
Because
like, if you don't go, you're going to be
yeah,
suspended for a game. It's like, who wants
And
that?
they have.
but it's honestly and like in Ovi's case, like when that was happening, it reminds me of like when you suspend a student from school
They
because
ditch
like
class.
then I'm the kid and I'm like, great, I get a day off. I can have a 3-day weekend. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, that's like a reward. Like, it's a reward to get a day off for these guys, and unless it's like a really crucial game. But at that point, I feel like when Ovi was at the peak of skipping, the Caps were like amazing. So it like didn't even matter. He wasn't there. It literally was a break on his body. But he's there now that his kids are old enough to enjoy it. But it's like, I just don't even. I think it's truly is like a cultural thing of like, it's so cool to go to the NBA All Star. Like, they have relevant performers there. The vibes are just happier. The skills comps make a little more sense, and I think it's also meant for TV.
Yeah.
So it like production wise just like makes more sense and is not as messy, I would say. Just because I feel like they have it down to like a science. Like, it might not be as creative or like goofy, but when you have the talent there and you see them all in one place, I don't know. I think it's just a whole different situation for them. So I wish we would take notes.
For the NBA, do they invite players and then not have them participate in the skills competitions?
I see where this is going.
I mean, I don't know. I think maybe might be a certain level where like not everybody's participating like as hardcore, but I don't think that like we, be under a certain illusion that they might be doing one thing and then not see them do it at all. Or have the rumors come out that that's going to be the case. So,
well, because for the NHL, apparently they invite players to come to the All Star skills competition, and then they don't even have enough spots.
She's talking about Carlson because he didn't do anything during the skills competition, which I'm sure he was fine with because he was just there with his daughter.
No,
so
that's not what I'm. It just doesn't make sense to me why you would invite all these players and then not have them compete in these competition things. I think, like, what's the point? Just have them stay home and go on their own vacation.
What's worse, the All-Star game or like a rookie getting called up, his whole family flies to see him play for him to only be up in the press box for that game. So I feel like it's like right on brand. It's a little less horrible than when that other scenario happens, like an NHL debut that gets sent back. Because I feel like that's categorically worse than. He's just there for the vibes, Cousins. Like,
no, I'm sure he didn't care because he was there having the time of his life with his daughter.
We care.
I'm just saying, what is the point of having them fly over there?
There is no point. This is what we're talking about now. The NHL All Stars is a disaster.
It just doesn't make sense to me. Point. Just let him go on his own vacation. So dumb.
This is the NHL's sad way of trying to grow the sport. That's why they held him hostage.
It's not working.
And like the last couple of seasons where they suspended Ovi, it's like you realize he doesn't care and it's not hurting him. Like, especially when they do all like, oh, we're gonna take money out of your pay. Oh, whoopee! Like,
just what's a couple of $100 out of my million?
I was thinking, next year they already announced that it's going to be in Toronto, so you know who's going to be their guest musician.
Who? Who's from Toronto? Oh, Drake.
I think they confirmed it. I thought he confirmed it. Yeah.
Well, that would be a much better option than what I was thinking of.
You've got me excited.
Bieber? Is that what you mean?
No, yeah.
Well, he already put out like some posts about how excited he is. So I feel like he's if it's not Drake, it's him. But
it's probably him putting it out there like, hey, you should invite me to perform it.
He seems more than excited to do it. That's so.
It's because his besties.
I don't even have anything against him. I will be okay if I don't go. Is all my thing is saying. I'll be okay. I won't have as much FOMO, especially with the conditions, the weather conditions. There now, it's like the same. I mean, I live in Boston. It's just basically the same. Like, it's been freezing for the last.
Is it still snowing?
So yeah, not here, but it might be there. So
that's what I'm saying. Well, I wasn't saying it to you guys. Sorry, I was talking with my girlfriend, and I was like, I thought the point of the All-Star game was for kind of as a vacation for the players, and that's why they've been picking like warmer locations. Toronto doesn't seem to fit that.
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay, jersey vibes. How do we feel?
I really liked these ones.
Yeah.
I don't usually like the All Star ones, but these ones just kind of like hit. And I liked
The colors.
all of the goalie pads that incorporated the colors.
Yeah.
Those were really
They're
fun
sick.
to look at.
I like the all blue ones. I don't know what shade of blue to call that. I like them. I really wanted a Carlson one, but I currently can't afford to buy myself jerseys, so we're in that.
Our next donation will be to the Nessa Fund.
Can I have a jersey, please?
Starving artist needs jersey for inspiration.
For that dopamine? Serotonin. Which one's the good one?
Yeah.
Serotonin. Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
So I wanted to ask you a little bit about the Bruins, since your team kind of like kicked our butts, not once but twice.
They always do, though.
And
Yeah, we have like a lengthy. I almost want to say I know the number in my head. It's been a couple.
Do you
of years.
remember when Thornton got a hat trick and we still lost that game? That was awful.
I'm sorry.
so you're a Bruins fan. What are your feelings coming?
Allegedly.
Supposedly. Maybe it might be teetering after certain things happened over this past season. But assuming you still are,
Sure.
what are your feelings going into the trade deadline? Because you guys kind of just look like you can steamroll everybody.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna go dark first. Okay. First of all, I thought we were gonna get Bo Horvat, which I really would have loved. I would have loved to heal his inner child on our team by, having a team that is happy to be playing and everybody likes each other and just good vibes. I would just love to free him of the shackles of the Canucks. But that didn't happen. There is a possibility that he does get flipped again at the deadline. I don't want that to happen because they do really want a lot for him. So, but there is someone that you both know that we also may be after. And I would take really good care of him. So I feel like if anyone should get him,
I don't know.
I feel like you should be happy if
I don't
it's
know
my
who you're
team
talking
because
about.
I will make sure that
We don't know anybody on the trade market.
that I'm just saying that is a possibility. We get close to something good. This is the problem. It's like we're either gonna get two players that you've never heard of, because there was a season where we got two that I had never heard of, and they turned out to be really awesome. But like it took some growing for them to get there. Or we do get a big fish, and it works out great for us. So.
I will trade you one Timo Meyer for one Swayman. No, Olmark?
No.
Which one? Which one's better?
Well, according
both
to Elena,
good.
they come as a pair, so you can only trade
do.
them with
They're
together.
father and son.
You're
They
right.
come
So I will
together.
trade you one.
So that is our final offer.
One Timo Meyer
Bogo.
and one LeBanc.
We'll throw him in there, free of charge.
No.
Oh, are you aware of him?
Deals off. Deals off. I don't need to be anymore. Deals off.
Now, is the... So you mentioned earlier about how you thought maybe, or you were hoping that you would get Bo Horvat. Is that because a certain captain of yours may or may not sign, or am I anywhere in that field?
I just think he's a great person on the market. Like I think he would have been a great grab. I think that we have more than enough old guys on our team to carry that torch for a little longer. Skill wise, I think, I just think he was a good pickup. It just seemed like a really good fit. So while I don't want to give up what they're asking for him if they did decide to flip him again, which would really be crazy, just even with the way that we didn't know what team he was gonna play for during the All Star game, and
That was weird.
anyways, that's so
awkward.
weird. It didn't make any sense. And then the result of that is like that heartbreaking clip of like him saying to Erickson or whoever, I don't know these players' names, but to his line mate or whatever, that, oh, one last time we'll play together. I'm like, why would you say that? Like, making your whole fan base cry again. Like, that's just so mean. But yeah, I think I just wanted him just because of what he brings, but I mean, Patrice Bergeron's like irreplaceable, so I don't really know like what we're gonna do when that happens. Cause yeah, it's just gonna be weird. But again, I think we have more than enough old guys to keep going, so we'll be fine for a couple of years. We'll be good.
I wish our old guys could keep us going, but we need more young guys. I guess on that note, do you feel like the Bruins are in a good spot for sustainability, or do you think that some stuff needs to happen in the next couple of years to keep that train rolling?
I would say that we are not sustainable, but I would say that it's really dependent on what happens this year. And I can't even like begin to think about that scenario of like how the rest of the season is going to play out, because it's like one thing for it to be going the way that it's going, but then you hear stories of all these other teams that won the President's Trophy and then get bounced in the first round, and I'm like, I will not survive that. Like, the playoffs should be enjoyable. I enjoyed them a little bit, when we weren't in them, because you had nothing to lose, right? Like,
oh yeah,
this is also going to be crazy if the Kraken make it too. Like,
Can you
guys,
imagine?
Chanel
people will need to check in on you.
This is the last time you're seeing me like healthy, and I'm not even healthy right now. Like, that's just, I can't even begin to think about that. It depends on what we do. Like, it depends. And also, it's not like fun to bring this up, but like, we are still paying Mitchell Miller, so that contract is still being like paid off as we speak. So I'm not even sure like that. We have to be thinking about that as the deadline approaches, and I do worry about like who we're even going to be trading. Like, that too is like, I would love to get rid of Brendan Carlo right now, but like, there's a reason for that, and I don't think like teams are chomping at the bit for someone that is responsible for a lot of bad plays, and we don't even have that many. But it's like, gosh, but some teams are desperate for that. So you never know. He's like past 25, so he's like on the older side. So maybe you could get him if there's
Timo is 26. He's past 25.
It's gonna be a 1-for-1. It's
No.
Be a one mid-20s for another one.
I don't think the skill levels are equal though. That does not appeal.
No, it doesn't matter. Who needs to know that?
We're not gonna trade our best goal scorer to become worse. Like, that doesn't make sense.
Hey, not a lot of things make sense.
That's true.
So
That's
you
fine.
never know. You never know.
And my last note, what are your thoughts on your goalie duo, and why is it the best duo in the NHL?
They're so cute.
They're so cute. Every time I think about the fact that Jeremy Swayman dressed up as Santa Claus and went to Allmark's house to be Santa for Allmark's children, I'm like, it's a reminder to myself that if he wanted to, he would. So like, the bar for significant others is really up there, because they're just bros, right? And that happened. Like, that was his Christmas time. Like, he wasn't with his family. He was with Linus Olmark's family, being Santa for children that won't even remember the scene happen. So, I don't know. It's weird. Like, it's weird to see a pair of people be so obsessed with each other in a platonic way. Like, in the most, like, in a sport that seems to be more homophobic by the day, would have such a cutesy,
wholesome,
like romantic friendship vibes, like through the roof. Like anytime they're mic'd up, there's a show that we have, it's called Behind the Bee. Every time they're together on it, it's disgusting. It's so cute. It's just horrible. It like makes me realize like how bad of a friend I must be if that's like peak friends. You know what I'm saying? It's like
making us all feel terrible about our friendships.
This is why I don't have best friends, you guys.
It really
it's
is.
too much.
It is too much because like I don't know. I don't know if it is. It feels really rare for some reason.
It is rare.
And I think we've had like a couple of these though that like they're kind of like, I'm sure
Jay knows.
like like the
Mika.
PK Subban and like the Carrie
Mika and
Price
Chris.
Bond, but it's not like this. I don't know.
They are really
They're
adorable.
just cute. They're perfect. I love them.
Like before,
They are a package deal.
before they started playing on the same team and really getting to that level, the only person I really knew on the Bruins was Brad Marchand.
Of course, household name.
Yeah.
Household
And it
name.
was like,
Household rat name.
hate playing against him, all this stuff. And so, but now it's like,
Now you know
those
5
guys
of
are just
them.
everywhere.
You know the 2 goalies.
Yeah.
You know Brad.
That's
you
a
know
lot.
Bergeron. You know what's his name? Pasta. That's 5. That's it.
Yep.
That's all I know.
We're about teaching people about all these names, apparently. On this podcast, you will learn all these different names of players that you never knew existed.
Especially if I'm here. I'm honestly surprised. Like that is one of the things that I was really proud of last year when I worked for the Kraken, was like knowing our lineup, like knowing who I don't know. I know the ones that are left from last season. Like those are the ones that
I know a Mr. Martin
The rest of
Jones.
them?
Big fan of him.
Oh yes, of course. Love Martin Jones.
We are paying Jones to play for the Kraken.
Play well for the
Yes, you are.
Kraken, which he wouldn't do for us.
The Kraken have he's got way more help in front of him than anything we were giving him over the last couple of years. So
And he still doesn't even have a ton of, like, if you actually look at the numbers, it still is not that great. But he just has happened to won most of the games that he's played in.
but you guys have
but
like
they're
scored
still
more, I
bad.
think, is why they still end up winning. We can't score.
Yeah, well, yeah, because we have the offense, yeah. But it's still.
We can score.
not
We
that
can't defend.
It's just one guy.
It's just you have 2 people that are doing it for you, that's all.
It's true. It's true.
It's so sad. It's so sad.
It could be worse. maybe.
It is worse.
I wish it was
We're
worse.
hoping it gets
actually.
more worse, so then this draft will be good for us.
Absolutely.
That's one of the only reasons I would want Timo to get traded, is so that we can go full tank mode. But it's not going to happen. I don't know about the trade.
Yes,
I
it
just
will.
don't know about the tank.
I'll take him.
I'm sure the trade will happen.
If he does come here, I will make sure he's traded.
Because if we trade him, the only one scoring is the one guy.
The guy who's like in almost 50% of the goals. Yes.
And if he's not scoring, he's trying to give the puck to someone else, who's usually Timo. So
Yeah.
so that takes down our potential to score goals even more.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Chanel,
We'll
I want to
see.
ask you, what is hot? What is hockey of tomorrow?
It's hot. Well, I was about to say, like, can we do, like, a teaser in this episode?
Yeah,
or
why not?
something? Like,
What do you mean teaser?
Jay? Well, there might be some news.
There might be. But we don't know yet. We haven't had that meeting yet.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I would still say that there might be some news. Good or bad. by the by the time we
Wait a
announce it.
second.
Am I going to have to cut
Well,
this
if
out
it's
of the
dependent on that
episode?
meeting, if it depends on that meeting, if it depended on our meeting that we had, I would say there would be good news.
I mean, if we have Chanel in our
I would
corner, I
say
think
that.
it's going to be good news.
This episode just
Okay.
got dark real quick.
No, I think it's fun. I think it's good. I think it's safe to say that there might be something announced in the near future. probably before March.
Chanel, you'd make a really good GM.
Thank you. I
With
said
the
a
way
lot
that
and
you're
said nothing at the same time.
talking about something and also not revealing anything.
I said a lot and nothing
Exactly.
at the same time.
You handled
Watch
it
out,
well.
Gary. I'm coming for your job.
So back to our original question. You want to let our audience know what Hockey of Tomorrow is?
Yes, Hockey of Tomorrow is the location at which my email address currently is. Because I work for them now, which is cool. I'm the community community manager, one of those.
You don't even know the title. Very professional.
I know it's contributor and community manager, but sometimes I flip them in my head. Yeah, it's a weird situation. I was losing my mind looking for jobs over the summer. Did not come by anything that made sense. And then I got this message from this guy, and he's like, "Hey, I'm working on something. I think you'd be a really good fit for it." And because I was bored and had time, I said, "Okay, like let's."
Did you say that in your interview?
Tell me more.
I'm bored and I have time, so.
Yeah. I did say that. I was like, well, I got a lot of time on my hands right now, so it's fine. So I met this guy. He's telling me that he's gonna launch a multimedia hockey sports publication type thing. And what really stood out to me is, and I don't know, that's because I was at like my peak depression era or what, but like a lot of the stuff that he described to me of what he wanted the site to be like really resonated with me. Like the content that he wants to put out, with the people that he wants to work with and sponsors he wants to work with. It made me feel really hopeful for the future of like hockey coverage. You know, we were talking about it yesterday in the meeting, how it's really hard to have like authentic content online, because right now it seems like one platform will share a story and then another platform will share the same story and then credit sort of the original one. It's just this vicious cycle, the same story in 12 different ways. And for me that's really hard, because I'm like, I wish I could just see something that was new and fresh and exciting, that you're not going to get on, you know, a typical site that there's out there now. So, yeah, he tasked me with like a really interesting project. It kind of has evolved over time. And I'm really, really proud of like the group that I put together, of writers and other people that might be involved with it. I'd say that I was really proud of that, just because, you know, the parameters around it were like sort of up to me, and I really wanted to create a group of people that reflected what the real fan base of hockey looks like right now, and not the one that's sort of being pandered to currently at the league level. So, yeah, it's going to be launching on March 15th. If everything goes to plan. We'll see. Most of that's not on me, so don't be mad at me or blame me if it doesn't go that way, because it's not my fault, okay? But yeah, I'm really excited about it. And hopefully you'll see more stuff come out in the next couple of weeks about it. But
so, what could we be expecting for March 15th launch?
Well, right now we're collecting some content that will hopefully still be relevant during that time. It's kind of hard because, like, we want to have stuff ready to go, ready to publish. But, like, you know, it's kind of hard to... You want to write stories that are happening now, right? Like, we would love to have covered some of the not-so-great stuff, but also some of the good stuff that's happened over the last couple of weeks. But releasing that a month and a half after it's come out, like, don't really quite make sense. So, it's just going to be some interesting stories that, like, we haven't seen a lot of. Like, one of the ones that hopefully, will come out is, you know, focusing sort of on Sarah Sivian's, like, style rankings, but sort of looking into the fashion that's going on in women's hockey right now, because, we've seen a lot of really, like, sick fits lately, and someone should write about that, and so they are. So that will be exciting. And I don't know if it will become a series or just like a deep dive into what that's like, but yeah, I would say that it's quite easy for the women's team to be looking a lot better than what we're given with the NHL right now. So that would be exciting. So there are just like different. I almost said like same but different, but it's not the same. There's a lot of really cool stories that are going to come out of this. So I'm excited.
And we are excited along with you.
The real question is when am I going to get my sticker?
Well, when are you going to send me your address?
When did you ask for my
I thought
address?
I did.
You did ask for my address. Now that I say that, and that I just accused you of not doing it,
I'm just going to send it to you mentally because...
I'm going to send it to you telepathically right now, and if you don't get it,
Sorry,
that's
I
on you.
need to
It's
tune up
really
my no. Mine, I don't remember what the powers... Telepathy. Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
Send me your address.
I will.
Okay, awesome. Look forward to all that stuff. Go ahead and subscribe to Hockey of Tomorrow.
There's going to be some
a lot of great stuff
pretty
coming
cool
out.
people involved.
If we don't say so ourselves.
Depends. Yeah. Depends who you ask.
Wow.
I feel like.
I'm asking you,
I
Chanel.
mean, you're the one who chose them, so I hope this is a reflection of you.
I'm sorry. Weren't you the one that said, how do I
support women's
you were
wrongs.
like, how do I invite myself onto the podcast without inviting myself onto the podcast?
Yeah, that was the way. I was like, how can I do this strategically? And then an opportunity came along where, but I will say this, and I said this to you before, it wasn't my idea. So, it wasn't my idea. But maybe something good will come out of it. Who knows? We'll see.
It'll be great. No, but it's really exciting to see that you guys are going to be covering a more diverse topic or diverse topics in hockey. I'm excited to see that.
All right. That's all we have for you today. I had a lot of fun talking with you. And with that, thank you so much for listening or watching to the episode. And as always, I am your host, Jay.
I'm Nessa. This is Chanel. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.